Welcome to the San Clemente podcast, the only local podcast in the best beach town in the world. We're here to bring you weekly episodes highlighting everything from sports, culture, entertainment, politics, and everything else this beach town has to offer. Welcome to the San Clemente podcast, the number one podcast in San Clemente, California. I'm Jeff Moore, your host, and I'm thrilled to have you here. Joining me today are my incredible co-hosts and good friends, Brian De La Puente and Elyse Snipes. Today, we have an unbelievable guest that we've been very excited to bring on, the CEO and founder of Murf E bikes, Josh Jones. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Don't forget one of our really good buddies, too.
One of our best friends, someone I grew up next to for most of my life.
Like next door.
Next door, yeah. Directly next door. So this is a fun podcast and something that I've very much been looking forward to.
Really like being in a time warp bubble, like looking across the table and being like, wow, are we in third grade? Oh no, we're actually adults sitting across from each other now.
Pretty wild, huh?
It is.
Fast forwarded like 30 years. It goes back deep too. Like I remember living in my childhood house and just one day a family like coming in, and I remember, gosh, and this is crazy, Josh, you may remember it too, when you guys were looking at the house, maybe even moving into the house, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a dream come true. Growing up, I had 3 brothers, 4 boys. Josh and his family comes from 4 kids as well. Josh has got an older brother and 2 sisters, and so 8 kids between the 2 houses. And that really set the foundation of what was to come for the next 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm. Josh, you guys moved into that house?
Yeah, kindergarten. We moved in right before kindergarten.
Okay, were you in town or were you coming?
Capo.
Okay.
Capo Beach. Yeah.
Yes. So you, Concordia, San Clemente High School, Arizona.
U of A, yeah.
Talk about your time in growing up in San Clemente, what you were into, sports, all that good stuff.
Man, kind of the best place to grow up as a kid. Surfing, basketball, volleyball. I never played football. And I don't know, the summers were too hectic for football and me. So I opted out of that. But surfing was the biggest part of my childhood, I think. And it's still a big part of my life, so I love that. And then college was a wild party experience. That it was cool, but it was good when it was over.
Yeah. I remember coming out on a recruiting trip and staying at your house. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was.
I remember going out there one time.
Arizona was a fun place to be for those 4 years, but I can only imagine. I was only there for a weekend.
Yeah.
I could only imagine how exhausting and.
Yeah, it was too much, but got out of there and then worked for my cousin laying tile.
What did you study at Arizona?
Communication and business. Okay. Yeah. So I actually was just kind of easiest way out of college. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like really easy to get out. I didn't.
I was a legal studies major. Same.
Yeah, I think a lot of people take that route, right? Like the easiest major just to get me in and out of here. And I can't speak from experience because I actually didn't go to college. I mean,
I don't think it matters unless you're doing law or becoming a doctor or electrical engineer or something like that. But otherwise, I don't think it really prepares you. It's just like delaying life a little bit so you can grow up.
What about though the connections that you make in college? Like,
I think that's really important. I would say schools like USC, the network runs a lot deeper in terms of like connections. But yeah, I mean, anything helps.
Sure.
Like even learning how to like rub shoulders with different types of people, and how do you live in a dorm, and how do you figure out how to manage surf and school or friends and school. So a little bit of delay, but also like there's some grit, some earned grit in that season.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you give? Yeah, what advice do you give your kids now at this level, like as they would get older? Like, are you pushing college? Are you pushing school?
I don't think my kids will go to college. I don't think it'll be there for them. I don't think it'll be like a requirement, and I think maybe something else will happen. I think college is good at delaying adulthood, and setting kids up for corporate America. But in terms of like thinking outside of the box, I don't know how much it helps.
For sure. And you know what? It is almost like a conveyor belt, but even today, right, you're starting to see a lot of hybrid programs, right?
Even in the elementary school level.
Even in the elementary school level,
there's a lot other unlike any time in history, frankly, there are more options for schooling and for our kids. You know, you have a very eclectic avenues to go down. It can be anywhere from homeschooling to the Waldorf school systems to dual immersion programs to Concordia, where we all went. So
Absolutely.
like you can really go down different roads, which is cool to have a lot of options.
I think it's great.
Watching like the different kids. So, how many kids do you have, Josh? 3. Okay, so I have 3. I also have 3 kids, and they're so different. And I have one who I'm like, dude, we're really gonna get through high school. But I have another kid who's like so cerebral. He wants college. He wants a PhD program. He wants to go to the
cool.
like. So I want there to be a wide field to catch their interest for the entrepreneur or the creative or the brains, the brainiac person who might want a different level of education.
Absolutely. Yeah, because growing up, like our school system as we knew it was a one size fits all.
Yep.
Right. And a lot of times that size didn't fit 2 out of the 4 kids that you had, or 3 out of the, you know what I mean? Right. It wasn't going to catch everyone. So the fact that society is getting smarter and savvier in terms of developing programs that cater towards these kids is spectacular.
Or just broader in our understanding of what intelligence looks like,
yes,
or what genius looks like, or what happiness looks like. What would make you, what's your quality of life and where do you value?
For sure. Yeah, I know we're always quick to say like it's such a, like not a great time for kids because technology, right, and all this stuff. But when like we're actually talking through it, right, there are a lot of pros too that have developed through this. Absolutely. Absolutely. So as you graduated college, and I forgot about that, laying tile with Grant. That was
I did that for a long time, like 4 or 5 years.
Wow. And were you doing that in all residential homes, or was it?
All residential. So it sucks.
That's like true manual labor.
It's really
your body
hard work.
hurts. You're bent funny, and your knees hurt. And
yeah. And so that was right out of college. Is that what you started doing?
Yeah, I was kind of traveling around, and then I would do it in my off time. But
I want to talk about that now that you said that. You took a trip to Australia, didn't you?
Yeah, I studied abroad there for 7 or 8 months. It was awesome.
One of the best times of your life, or?
Yeah. We lived in Surfer's Paradise. I don't know how familiar you are, but right at this wave called Burley Heads.
Wow, that's crazy. I remember you calling one time and being like, I got chased out of the water by a shark.
Yeah, I did.
Was that? Yeah. That's wild.
Spooky.
That's crazy.
Like a big old great white shark, or
I don't think so.
Didn't hang around to figure it out.
No, it was like it was in between me and the shoreline.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I just kind of sat there.
I don't know about you, but when I'm surfing, I am constantly thinking about sharks.
Ooh.
Me too.
I try not to, but
you see a
piece
fin.
of seaweed hits your foot or something, and you're like, I'm out.
It's
I'm done.
spooky.
You know what? They're out there. I mean, it's the ocean.
They're out there.
They're out there.
I just
Absolutely.
remind myself, like, they are out there, and if they wanted to eat people, they would eat people every day.
Yep, absolutely.
They don't. It's not part of their thing.
Nope, exactly.
Whatever frequency or
not here at least.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Not doing it.
No, exactly.
here.
You go to
That's
like
a good point.
Florida, right, where like the bull
Hawaii.
sharks. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hawaii. Ooh, yeah, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii. It probably happens a lot. Absolutely.
Josh, did you always know you wanted to go into some form of entrepreneurship, or was it business specifically, or?
No, I realized that I didn't want to work for anyone else. I've always been a hard worker, but it's just like I wanted to do something on my own. And I've always known that.
Wait, so what do you mean always? Like you're talking like elementary school, high school?
Yeah. I had get rich quick ambitions, but then I quickly realized that it takes a lot of hard work, and that doesn't exist. So yeah, I've always been side hustling with like flipping surfboards, so like buying them and then selling them for more money, or stocks, or anything, always trying to make a little buck.
So following curiosity, following like a sense of like, ooh, I want to do that. I can see that. I can see there's an opportunity here.
Mm-hmm. Always, yeah.
There's something innate in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Than we think about.
So you're laying tile. What was one of your, I know with entrepreneurship, there's lots of failures and successes, right? Or more of the failures. Talk about some of your early like lessons, and because there's really no failures, right? They're lessons. So talk about some of those early, maybe companies you started or paths you started to go down.
Yeah. So, I mean, with entrepreneurship, if you don't have financial backing and you're doing it yourself, you have to be able to test things, ideas without a huge financial burden. So that's you just want to be able to test as much as you can without having a financial consequence.
Sure.
So you know that, oh, that didn't work. I only lost $5,000 versus, testing it for 50 and,
right.
That didn't work. So that's kind of always been my thing, is like, what can I test that's very cheap to test? And if it works, it could be a great success. But then if it doesn't, no, just my time.
Right.
And I've had things where I've worked at it for a year and I broke dead even, and I worked hard at it.
Right.
So it's just my time, but then you get one that clicks and you're off.
And at what point, like, what are the tellers that's like, oh, this is clicking? Is it like direct feedback from a buddy, from somebody, from you? Like, what is the...
that's more like intuition. And then I guess like how hard it is, or like the path forward that you see. Is it difficult, or what are your obstacles right now? And like, will those be alleviated? Stuff like that. Like I had a drop ship business, where I was selling wood furnaces and wood stoves online. And my big problem was the inventory. My distributors wouldn't give me an accurate inventory list, so I'd sell products that were out of stock. Gotcha. And then, so it just was a nightmare. And so then it was just like a logistic nightmare. And so I'm like, dude, this is a business that I can't
And you look down the road, you're saying, if
this is always going to be a problem.
Right.
Always going to be a problem.
At what point did you decide to cut bait? Like, because that's tough, right? Imagine you're putting a year of hard work into this, right?
No, that was 3 years.
3 years of hard work.
Yeah.
At what point did you cut bait and say, you know what, I got to go find my next concept or idea?
Well, you just have to so the business itself had value, so I sold it. And that was a process. So I remember I sold it, I think New Year's in 2018 or 2019, and I think I started crying.
Are you serious?
Because I was working Murf, and then so at 5 or 6 in the morning I would work the wood furnace business, and then like 6 to 11 at night I would work the wood furnace business. And because I didn't make any money from Murf yet, everything was going back into the business.
Right.
And so it was just
taxing, totally, too much.
Yeah. But
yeah.
That's even just to hold on that for a sec. You were working Murf, and everything you were making was going back into the business.
Yeah. And it was that way until we raised money with private equity, because it was just, double down on yourself, keep going. Yeah.
But you knew, right?
Like I was getting a $40,000 salary.
That's crazy.
From Murf a year, and
For how long? How long was that for?
So the first, 2016 to 2019, or until I sold the wood furnace business, I wasn't even taking any money from Murf, like a salary at all. And then when I sold that business, then I started taking a salary.
Wow.
But only $40,000.
That's crazy. I want to rewind just a little bit. How did you come up with the furnace business?
So these guys they were building a skincare website for us. They had a drop ship website that they were selling, and I bought it.
Wow.
It's a little chance, a little right place, right time.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, it was funny, but only it did about 500,000 in sales a year, but it was only September, October. It was like 5 months out of the year that it was busy.
Gotcha. Now, is drop shipping still?
Is that like leading into fireplace weather?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
And then like March 1st,
Yeah.
like the phone would stop ringing. Like it was weird. It was
Wow.
like, it was bizarre.
And so drop shipping, you're basically like the middleman, right? The broker between the buyer and the seller.
Yeah. So, yeah, an order would come in, an email would automatically get sent to the distributor, and then they would ship the product, provide me tracking. I would provide the customer tracking.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's terrific. Brian, I mean,
Sorry.
that's okay. Hey, you know what?
That's my ring.
That's that's good. You know what? Hey, no. That's amazing.
I'm glad it's yours.
So
That's good.
the drop shipping, is that still something that's prevalent today? Like, is that still a line of work for people to go in, or
Yeah.
a business, or
Yeah.
is that
yeah.
kind of Amazon? Is that what people do through Amazon, or?
Sometimes I've done it on Amazon. You have to have it's all about like the data feed with Amazon. Like inventory, in-stock inventory is crucial for that stuff, especially on a third-party site. Like because you get dinged if you don't have it in, like if you sell it and you don't have it in stock. That's a big deal. So if
Dinged by who?
Amazon.
Oh.
Yeah, so like
So you're like contracted through Amazon to provide the 2-day Prime shipping or whatever.
But it's really easy now. They have all these APIs that connect to live inventory.
Right.
It was a lot harder back in like 2013. You had to use Go Data Feed, and it was kind of a process.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from? Is it in your family? Did your mom, dad have it? Like what?
No, not my dad. My grandpa did. So I think that's where I got it.
Yeah.
Grandpa.
Good old Gramps.
Good old Gramps.
Grandpa
It
Jones.
passes
you
down.
you had the furnace business. Any other ones that?
Yeah, we were selling eyelash growth product online. We sold that to a dermatologist. And then
Now I know
skincare.
you have Seaside
Yeah,
as one of super successful. I know Kira, your wife, is kind of running that.
she runs
Now?
that. Yeah,
Was the eyelash before Seaside?
during Seaside.
During. Okay.
But that was a really good business actually. But it was just like in the gray area legally.
Okay.
And so we got consulted, and we're like, okay,
Sure.
time to sell it.
See you later.
Yes. Any
But-
of them? Yeah.
But the guy we sold it to, he was a dermatologist, and his goal was like online pharmacy, and so he basically had all the right credentials.
Gotcha.
Do you know how he's doing today? Like, is that a business that?
Oh yeah, he's crushing.
That's got to feel good too, right? Knowing that you sold a business to someone that
Sure.
ended up like taking off with it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't sell it if I didn't think there was opportunity. Honestly,
For sure.
Yeah.
So leading into Murf, talk to us about the name, where that came from, how it came to be, and
So my parents got divorced. They sold the house next to your parents, and I would go to my parents' house and just ride my bike down to surf. And when they got divorced, they sold the house, so I kind of stopped surfing a bunch, and I was bummed out. And so I tried to figure out how I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna get to trestles, and so I bought an electric bike from the guy in Dana Point. And 6 months after I got it, the thing broke. He wouldn't honor his warranty, and so I'm like, okay, well, if this guy's selling a shit ton of bikes and doing bad business, like I'm gonna destroy him if I offer
Sure.
great business or service to customers. And so I I found someone in China to make our product, and I got 10 shipped to me, and then I sold them all to my buddies. And then the next time I got 20.
Testing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And then the next time I got 30. Next time I got 80. Then I got a bike shop. Like, so I was selling them out of my house until I sold about 60 out of my house until like some of the characters that showed up. I was like, dude, I gotta
get a place.
I got a baby inside.
Yeah.
And let me say too that Murf e-bikes are the best bikes in the world. And if you don't or haven't heard of Murf, you're definitely living under a rock. But they're incredible. They really are.
It's a cruiser lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like performance beach cruiser are really reliable. But yeah, in terms of performance, there are better options out there. But
maybe,
that's killer. I mean, so to think like that competitive, like I'm going to offer something, just do it better.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated with this sector.
Yep.
Your service sucked. That's where I'm going to focus. So that's really the differentiating.
Well, and the worst thing is like there's this website that says Wayback Time Machine. So when I had my warranty issue, their warranty was 2 years, but then they changed it on their website like at this current moment.
Gotcha.
So then I went back to when I bought the bike and I took a screenshot of their website. And I'm like, dude, this is your website at this time.
Right.
It says 2-year warranty.
And he didn't care.
Yeah. And so I was like fighting with them tooth and nail to get a replacement motor.
Yeah.
You're like, honor your contract,
Right,
honor
your
your
word.
word.
Exactly.
Even if you didn't have a contract, like I'm a customer that could refer you business.
Yeah.
So that drove you to really want to build a better product, sell a better product. And what year was this in?
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
So you're out of your garage, then you get the shop on Del Mar, right?
Yeah. Right next to Nomads.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
And then grew out of that.
Yep. We, so 2020, we moved out of that.
So in
October
this
2020.
time, there's lots, it's a crowded space in terms of the e-bike world, right?
So 16 to 20 was not crowded at all.
Okay.
There was no one. There was a lot of COVID pop-ups that happened.
Okay.
So all those businesses actually in town have shut down.
Okay.
I would say almost all of
But
them.
I mean, like when you think of, it's Kleenex, right? It's the brand. It's not tissue, right? Like it's the Murf is e-bike.
Yep.
So how did you get from your garage? We know the tangible spots you went, but how did you make Murf that name? Like it's a brand.
Yeah, no, so like growing up in San Clemente, you have all these professional athletes that are so connected in skateboarding, surfing, and we've grown up with them all. So I would just give them a bike and be like, give us some love on social, like just send us some love. And the first time on an e-bike is like a crazy experience. Like it kind of blows your mind.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and you
does.
can't describe it to someone. So they were just like happy to post about it. And then these guys know other influential people, and it would just trickle.
Organically just grew.
And then the best part about it is it doesn't have any conflict with their traditional sponsors. Like it doesn't have a conflict with their energy drink sponsor, their clothing sponsor, their car sponsor, nothing. There's no conflict. And so they were happy to post about it. And it's still pretty much the same
That's
thing,
wild.
even with the best athletes in the world. Like there's no conflict.
Right. Well, it's crazy. I mean, it's a walking, living, real life commercial when you go surf down at Trestles.
Yeah.
It's like I can remember riding my bike old school style down there, and I would go very infrequently just because it was a challenge. It was kind of the buy-in to get down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
People zipping by me. What the heck, man? My pedal broke on my regular bike, and I had to walk it all the way up the hill. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I literally called you at the top of the hill. I said, hey, dude, can I get a bike? And I probably I surf churches a bunch, and we go down there, and it probably once, twice a week. which I haven't done since high school. And like, I am thankful for the bike because it gets me down there and it's easy and it's fun and it's fast and you put your headphones on and you're just cruising, like that experience you're talking about. And it's a commercial. You're down there and they're lined the whole beach.
And that's just trestles. And I text Josh the other day, this is how smart it is. So Chito Vera, who's a UFC fighter, he was riding the bike on one of the UFC like embodied series, like a behind the scenes look, right? And he's on a Murf. And that right there, like that's free advertisement.
Right.
He's not, and he's not conflicting with everything. So trestles everywhere you see them.
Well, it's iconic experience, like that experience of it's a nostalgic throwback. You're on a bike for the first time. My sister has two.
Yep.
We got on my first e-bike experience, and it's like we cruised all the same streets we used to ride on our regular bikes with the basket all around Southside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, looking at my little sister, like this is the coolest.
Yeah.
So it's not just within sports, it's within lifestyle, it's within moms and kids, it's within a date night. Yeah. Like it's in every market, and it feels good.
Yeah.
Every weekend with our kids, we're on our bike. Like I can put 3 kids on my bike and we're just off. Like we'll go to Dana Point. We'll go anywhere.
Yes.
And it's just a great experience.
Well, I remember talking to you. I'm like, hey, I need something that'll get my big ass up the hill. And you're like, I got something for you. And it does.
It does.
I haul ass. It'll pass all those other silly bikes down there.
I saw you last week. And I was.
And I talk to a lot of people, and while they love surfing, they love the experience just riding down to the beach, right? Like that's how much it had an impact and changed everything. It's fun now to get to where you're going.
Okay, so is that specific to San Clemente, or do you think that experience of changing the life and the ritual of surf is now Murf?
Yeah, for sure. We're really big in Hawaii. We've put a lot of effort out there. So surf culture has been ingrained in our roots, but it's just kind of the lifestyle of being around water. So lakes, anywhere you'd ride like a beach cruiser is kind of like where we want to be. Yeah.
You know what I'm noticing too is there's kind of a national park loophole too. Like a lot of people are foregoing the big tours, and they're bringing Murfs, and they're camping outside the park, and they're riding in.
Yeah,
like that. All of us, it's kind of like stand-up paddleboards, right? Take them away from, like your roots are at the ocean, right? But it really exudes. It's everywhere. You can
parking. Yeah, it's just
you can get into anywhere. You can get far. Just access.
Oh, if you had those up at like Yosemite, that would be
insane.
All time. Yeah. Absolutely.
But not if everyone's doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Then that change.
It's fine if everyone's doing it.
Yeah, Josh, I want everyone to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, there's enough room.
So what's the strategy on moving into Hawaii or moving into any new market? What are the steps that you take for that?
It kind of depends. Like, so we went into Florida, and they have a big surf culture there. They know a lot of the people that we work with, the brands, and so it was an easy plug and play for us to get into dealers and online sales. So like that's stuff that's low hanging fruit, but we're trying to really focus right now on hyper local stuff. So we're getting kind of back to events locally, but a lot of them, and just trying to do the same thing that we've been doing, but louder.
Gotcha. How much would you attribute social media to growing the business?
I would say a lot. Yeah. In the origins of it, I think were a lot more impactful. But now I think we're at a point where the business, we have to be a lot more strategic. Like selling 5 bikes from someone's post. It's great, but it's not going to move the needle in the way that we need it to. So like now it's like, okay, strategy time. Like what are we doing? Where are we putting those dollars? How are we going to do it? Do we have the people to do it?
So you're scaling. You're at a different level that you want to move to.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? Where did this different approach come from? Was it the recent sale or?
It a little bit, yeah, but it's just, if we want to keep growing, what we were doing historically will not move the needle enough.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're looking to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Does
Exactly.
that still fire you up?
Yeah, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. It's a whole different. It's a lot more meetings, a lot more.
You don't love the meetings?
I heard out of that.
Yeah,
One of our buzzwords, right? Hyper local.
Yeah.
And my question for that is, when you talk about hyper local, like, are you talking about focusing more in San Clemente and Bend and places you have stores, or like finding a charity or something that your Murf is passionate about that might be bigger, but they're local? You know what I'm saying? Like a charity that might be nationwide, but that is your local.
Yes. So in the Orange County example, a lot of people know of Murf already.
Right.
But not everyone has a Murf or has even tried an e-bike, right, but they know the brand. So my thinking is like, okay, like they see e-bikes everywhere. They've maybe or maybe not have heard of the brand. So if I just touch those people in some way, it's going to be a lot easier of a conversion than if we go somewhere else,
right,
like, I don't know, Colorado, where they don't see e-bikes as much. Right. They've never heard of Murf. And so then the sale process is going to be a lot longer. You may even have to educate them on e-bikes and what an e-bike is.
Right.
Whereas here, everyone already knows.
They're
and
like
then
on the cliff.
There's like, I don't know how many millions of people within a 20-mile radius.
Yeah.
So that we're like, our resources are not infinite. So we have to just like really focus and get back to guerrilla marketing, being in front of our customers, talking to them,
right,
letting them, if someone rides our bike, it's like they're going to buy it.
Right.
Even if they go and ride someone else's bike, because the performance is actually a lot better. And then the comfort is a lot better, unless they're looking for like an electric mountain bike.
And then you get to the customer service aspect where
exactly. Yeah.
That's the differentiator.
Yeah. And like when we go into markets, like our big thing now is like customer service is so important to us that like if we're selling, say we sold 100 bikes in the zip code in Florida, we're like, okay, let's find a service center where they can service their bikes. So we'll then partner with someone in that local community. So if we have an issue, they can take it there. Right. They're on our website. And usually that service center converts into a retail customer. And so then they...
Right.
Gotcha. So now you guys have retail dealers all over the place.
We have about 70, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Which
coast
goes
to coast.
Yeah, that's
strictly
crazy.
in the United States, or
we have so Australia and New Zealand are licensees. So they license our name from us, and we get royalties. But I mean, they're great partners. They're growing the brand in a way that we like. So
what about this is kind of stereotypical, but like a bike community like in Amsterdam, like there's European countries that are very, very, very bike oriented. Does e-bikes infiltrate into those?
I think so, but they're like 250 watt. They're a lot less power.
Gotcha.
And then the regulation is wild, and it's wild from country to country. And
interesting. So
there's just so much in the United States that we haven't tapped. Gotcha. And even other e-bike players that were in Europe Canada, they're all pulling out because
regulations and
yeah, I think it's just a lot of money to actually like do well there.
I want to know, what's your favorite part of the process? Was it starting the company? Was it, the grind? Was it, getting it to where it needed to be to sell it and move it to the next level? Like, what are you most passionate about when it comes to
Love
like
that question.
driving
Yeah.
this?
I would say the new products
Okay.
that we come up with. Yeah, that's the most fun, is just
And then
like
trying to push it out there too. And
yeah, and then just like it's like an experiment. Like, how's it gonna do?
Yeah.
Like you have all this stuff in your head, and we talk about it for months, and then it's just seeing how it does is really interesting.
that's amazing, because you have to love it. Like, I want people to know you worked for essentially nothing from 2016 to 2020 without taking a paycheck. Think about that. Think about how much passion and belief you have to have in your product and love behind it.
So for young entrepreneurs, we're talking like San Clemente kids or maybe at Concordia or Shorecliffs right now. What is their like trajectory into entrepreneurship? Do they need to love their product? Do they need?
I would say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you probably have to have a job and work on your entrepreneurship stuff outside of your job hours, and then until it makes enough money where it makes sense for you to do it full time.
Any business people, like mentors, books, podcasts, things that influenced you in a way that's like, I wish I would have known this sooner. Even.
I mean,
You got to capture your camera.
That's okay. Keep going. No,
No,
you're
no.
good.
sorry, Jeff was distracting me.
Sorry, keep going. Keep going. No, that's amazing.
I'm really interested in macroeconomics, so that I always listen to podcasts on that. The one that I'm really into right now is the All In podcast. I don't know if you guys heard it. That's a really good one. Yeah, I love that. I love real estate. So anything on that, tax strategy, that stuff is really interesting to me. And I think all that stuff is important in your like business too. Like, you have to have tax strategy. You have to know what's going on in the macro lens. Yeah.
I love hearing you share about this, Jeff.
Jeff, Josh, Matt, Mike, Tom,
It's-
Jake, Kylie,
Everyone.
Whitney.
It's amazing just to hear your passion as it has like broadened and then also narrowed into produce a product and then to launch a business that is now a brand, that is now a lifestyle, and just to see you follow like this current. And there is some piece that's like, this is who Josh is. Like, this is how you followed passion and curiosity, and then to double down on your own intensity on it. Because that's not, I think sometimes there's a misnomer that, to be an entrepreneur is it's frivolous, like it's cheap to someone. It's like, it's not. There's an element of like, it's a part of who you are and how you intersect with what you know and who you know and what you have to put on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's exciting is you're really just getting started, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
like
That's
to
crazy
think,
to think about.
That's crazy.
That's
That's crazy to think, like, what you were able to accomplish in that short period of time, like what you're going to be able to accomplish over the next 10, 15, 20, 30. Like, it's,
Yeah,
that's exciting.
So like the business that we're in is the e-bike business, but it's super inventory intensive.
Okay.
Meaning a lot of the money that you make is tied up in inventory. So you actually don't have a lot of cash on hand at the wrong times. So, it would come tax season
Totally.
and you don't have money to pay taxes because all your money is tied up in the inventory. And that actually is what drove us to raise money from private equity. But knowing like macro, so like when I started the private equity process, I'm like, we're in like a little bit of a bubble right now. This is probably a really good time to raise money.
Big time.
And so we raised money at the end of 2022, and it proved to be a perfect time to raise money. And now everyone, I say everyone, I mean everyone in industry is pulling back, and we have all this dry powder that we can deploy and get really good talent so like we're just swooping up like talent, and our foundation right now is like so strong with these guys that are just weapons. And so we're just building a really good foundation for this next wave of e-bikes, because e-bikes are not going away. It's just
it's just getting started, really.
Just getting started. And there's going to be regulation that any of the smaller people, they're not going to be able to comply. Like there's just going to be a financial hurdle. So yeah, it's exciting for the industry.
So much harder to start today than when you did, just based off regulations, you think? Or
it's not in place yet, but I would say within the next 12 to 18 months. Yeah, really soon. But I think the barrier to entry will be a lot higher. Like financial barrier, like you won't, like every product that you will produce will have to be UL listed. The batteries will have to be UL listed. So it's
for sure. But even like you said, the timing of it, right? Like the timing of that private equity deal, timing is, how important is timing?
It's everything.
Wow.
Well, COVID in a weird way was obviously catastrophic, and it opened e-bike world in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. No, yeah. Any outdoor or anything that got you outside was huge.
With all the COVID stuff, did you hit any supply chain hurdles, or did that affect business? Or because I mean, with the ramping up of business, and then supply being challenged, or the supply being challenging to get.
So we did a good job at demand planning at the time. So what we did is 2021 we put in. Was it 21? At the beginning of end of 2020, we put in all of our. I'm getting my years mixed up.
That's okay. 2019 to 2020.
No. 20. Okay, yeah. End of 2020, we put in our orders for the whole year.
Okay.
And so we had everything in order, and we received everything within 3 weeks of when we anticipated, when everyone else was having, and then we were pre-selling everything. So then we just kept doubling down, and then.
Gotcha.
So we were really good with that.
Proactively planning for that. That's good.
But
That's smart.
The caveat is the ocean freight, the rates, because there was so much demand from everyone shipping, that the rates went from 5,000 a 40-foot container all the way up to 27,000.
Wow.
Come on.
So we had to change our prices. I think it was like 3 times in 1 year to like make sure we were making our margin to survive.
And how does the direct-to-consumer person experience that? You know, they're thinking, oh, wow, these e-bikes just got more expensive. They're not understanding the business it took, infrastructure.
Yeah. No, yeah. So that's, I mean, you, like as a business, we have to make a certain margin. And so it was, it just goes to the end consumer ultimately.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
I got a kind of a fun question. Where, I think we all know, but the Murf, what was the genesis of the name?
And the logo.
And the logo.
So the name is Kiara's dog, Murf. He's a little rescue that hated me.
like really hated you, Josh.
Yeah, no, he hated me. But I bought his love with treats. And we ended up being best friends.
No way.
And so the logo is actually a picture of Murf.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that story. That's one of my favorites.
That's amazing.
He was not a nice
He's
dog.
not a nice dog.
I remember being like, "Hey, we got to go over to Jones's really quick," and I'm like, "I'm gonna stay outside." I'm not. Or is that dog is he locked up in the room yet?
He's small, but he's mighty.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Anything you would would do different if you were starting Murf right now? It's 2024. We've lived through a global pandemic. You're in a different season of your own life and kids. What would you do different? Or would you?
I mean, I don't know. That's a loaded question. What would I do different? I don't think I would do anything different.
That's a great answer too.
Yeah, I think ditto.
Like all the trials and tribulations like that you had to go through again. I mean, clearly it got you to where you're at today.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
How far does your vision go with Murf? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? What is the trajectory?
I mean, I'm like 3 years out.
Okay.
Is like as far as I'll like look in the future, because you just don't know what's going on around us. So like it may change.
So when you're setting like your goals and business plan, and that's like a 3-year time frame.
Yeah.
How big are you on doing that? Like, do you have a vision board? Do you how do you get your team together, and how do you build that?
So that's like, I would say part of our growing pains right now is like orchestrating that, because we went from small business to medium-sized business. We have about, I think, 20, maybe 28 people now at Murf. And so it's just like, getting everyone on the same page, budgeting, forecasting.
Yeah.
It's a whole different beast.
How'd you do that in the early stages? How'd you get people when you didn't have a big budget to go out and hire people? And not saying that you do now, but in the early stages, how'd you get people to buy into Murf and the product? Was it your passion that they were following and your belief in what you were capable of, or?
I think it was like, it just initially started as lifestyle. Like, we would open up at 11, close at 4.
Yeah. Working on bikes.
If it was a rainy day, we wouldn't open. So, I mean, it was
and that
awesome.
attracted people to want to come and work, right?
Like,
they're like, this sounds rad.
Bunch of surf bumps.
Bunch of surf bumps.
Surf's good. We wouldn't open.
Exactly. Or we'd close.
Yeah.
Team bonding.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That was real.
What do you do for
Product testing.
Yeah, what do you do for fun now when you're not working? Outside of surfing, of course. I know that's a big part.
I actually don't surf that much.
Really?
It's hard unless the waves are good.
Yeah.
I don't get a great workout, so I'll run, kids, wife, that whole stuff.
Yeah. Sports, kids are in sports now?
Not really. They were in soccer, but we didn't like it.
Really? Yeah. You would rather be doing something else.
They were just too young.
Yeah.
It was just like
no point to watching them run back and forth, right? You're like, that's kind of or
crying and not even playing.
Exactly.
It's kind of a trip. I don't remember growing up.
Yeah.
We didn't play like until 3rd or 4th grade.
Exactly.
And now kids are starting.
Yep. At 3.
Yeah.
And the parents are cheering them on as if they're like doing something.
It's
I'm
a whole
like,
nother
what is it?
conversation. We could
That's
go
a
into.
whole
Isn't that
conversation.
wild? It is.
All the
It's
unlived dreams.
yeah. It's crazy. How amazing is it though living in San Clemente? And I know we talked about this a little bit off camera. Outside of San Clemente, are there any other places in the world where you think you could see yourself living?
Yeah, but I think San Clemente will always be like home base. But Wyoming is really cool.
Yes. Oh, Wyoming.
Jackson Hole. And then, I don't know, Costa Rica is just...
Yeah, it's calling your
Calling your
name.
name.
kind of doing
I mean,
that.
think about that though. If you're fortunate enough to like split time, San Clemente, Wyoming, Costa Rica, like that would be a dream life.
Yeah. It's going to take some time to get
For sure, but how fun is that to work towards it, right? Like you can dream and have goals, and that's what makes it fun.
Exactly.
Totally.
Killer.
I love it. That's amazing.
Josh, thanks for hanging out with us, dude.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I was going to say I could talk to Josh for hours, and I know we all could, but out of the respect for time, Josh Jones, amazing podcast, CEO, president, founder of Murf E-Bikes. We're very fortunate and blessed to have had Josh on our podcast. So, Joshers, amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Boom.
Do we need
Thank you for listening in. Join us for another episode next week, coming to you from our studio on Del Mar in downtown San Clemente. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the San Clemente Podcast and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode.